Hello friends, in this video we are going to learn about outside passed pawn. D file and E file are known as the central file. This passed pawn on A4 is away from the center and that's why it is known as the outside passed pawn. Having the outside passed pawn in the pawn ending is a huge advantage. In majority of the cases it gives you a winning advantage. And winning plan in these situations is very simple. We want to use this pawn as a deflecting passed pawn. We want to push this pawn forward and we want the black king to go there and stop it. When black's king is on the queen side stopping our pawn, then we go on the king side with our king and eat opponent's pawn. And then we promote our rest of the pawns. Let's implement this plan in this situation. Before we start pushing the pawn, we should first fix these pawns. These are our target pawns. So first we fix them. We play the move pawn to h4, fixing these pawns. Black plays pawn to f6. Black wants to control all these squares so that our king cannot go to these pawns. Then we play pawn to a5. We are threatening to make a queen, so black will be forced to move his king toward this pawn. Black plays king to c6. Then we push the pawn further, a6. Our intention is to sacrifice this pawn so that black's king is forced to move this part of the board and we can attack on this part of the board. Black plays king to b6 and now we penetrate in this part of the board. We use our king and go king d5. Black takes the pawn. Right now we are a pawn down. But look at the position of the black king. It is very far away from these pawns and our king can easily capture all these pawns. We play king to e6. Black plays f5, protecting the pawn. Next we play king to f6. We are going to capture this pawn in the next move and black does not have any defense. Black can try to play king b6. Black wants to bring his king toward this side. We capture these pawns. King to c6, we capture this pawn also. King d6, king g5, and we capture this pawn also. Now we have these two passed pawns, we push them and make a queen. Let's look at this plan in one more example. In this position, white has a central passed pawn and our passed pawn is on the c file. It is slightly away from the center and this slight advantage is enough to give us a winning position. Our plan is to push this pawn. White king will be forced to capture this pawn and then we use our king to attack opponent's central pawn and then go toward this side of the board. So first we play king to e6. Now white plays king to d4. Now we play pawn to c6. We want the white king to come to the c5. Then we capture the pawn and opponents also capture the pawn. And our king can easily capture this pawn. White does not play the king c5 move immediately. White plays king to e4. Then we push the pawn. White plays king f4. Then we push the pawn. White plays king to e4. Now we push this pawn and we want to sacrifice this pawn. White's king is forced to play king d3 and capture our pawn. Now we take opponent's central pawn. White king takes our pawn and notice that we can easily target this pawn. Our king is closer to these pawns and white king is far away from these pawns. And this gives us a winning position. We play king to e4. White goes king d2. Then we play king to f3. After king to d3, we capture these pawns. We get two passed pawns. We push these passed pawns and make a queen. Let's look at the next example. In this position, we are white. Black has a passed pawn on the c file. Right now, we don't have any passed pawn, but we have a pawn majority. We can push these pawns forward and make a passed pawn. Our passed pawn is the outside passed pawn, so we have the advantage in this position. First, we play pawn to h3. Our idea is to push the pawn to g4 to make a passed pawn. Black plays king to e5. Black needs to stop our passed pawn. We play king to c4, attacking the pawn. Black plays king d6, defends the pawn. Now we play pawn to g4. creating a passed pawn. Black plays king to c6, defending the pawn. Now we push the pawn. Black plays king d6, and now we want to sacrifice this pawn. We want the black king to go to this side of the board so that we can easily capture these pawns. Now we play pawn to g6. Now black has to play king e6. Black needs to stop this pawn from becoming a queen. Now we can capture on c5. Black plays king f6. We play king to b5. Black captures the pawn, we also capture the pawn. We have a passed pawn on the a file and we can easily make a queen. We push the pawn, push the pawn, push the pawn and simply make a queen. In majority of the cases, having the outside passed pawn means a winning advantage. Let's look at this position. In this position we are white and materially is equal. But notice that we have a pawn majority on the queen side. So when we start pushing these pawns, we will get a passed pawn on the b file. And as you already know, having the outside passed pawn means a big advantage. So we are going to win this game. First stage is to centralize our king. We want our king to be centralized. So we start with king to f1. Black also centralizes his king. After king d3, king d6, we play king to c4. Our king is near the center. And now we are ready to push these pawns forward. Black plays king to c6. We start the pawn with the pawn to b4. Black plays pawn a6. Now we play pawn to a4. Black plays pawn to e5. Now we don't want to make a passed pawn right now. First, we want to fix the pawns on this side of the board so that we have clear target. We can start by playing pawn to h4. Let's say black plays pawn to f5. Then we play pawn to g3. We want to fix these pawns. Black plays pawn to g6 and we play pawn to f3. Black plays pawn to h6. Now it is easy for us to target these pawns. These pawns have moved forward and our king can easily attack them. So now we can create a passed pawn. Pawn to b5 check. Black takes it. We also take it. Black plays king to b6 and now it is the time to sacrifice this pawn. We play king to d5. Black takes the pawn. We capture the pawn. Right now the material is equal, but our king is closer to these pawns. It is easier for us to attack these pawns, and black's king is far away from this side of the board, and this gives us the winning advantage. Black plays king c5. We play king to f6 to attack this pawn. Black plays king d5 and we capture this pawn. Black plays king e5 and we capture the next pawn. We have two passed pawns and it gives us the winning position. Black plays king f6. We simply push these pawns. After f cross g4, f cross g4, we can push this pawn forward and make a queen. I hope now you can see how having an outside passed pawn gives you a big advantage and how you can convert that advantage into a win. See you in the next video.